Hey guys and gals, thumbs up from me as usual. Welcome to my channel, Do Real Love Survival. Thank God for the grace. And as I said in my last video, I'll be doing a video on the geocaches that I've been putting together. Now, you have to think about these things. In some ways I thought they were actually quite easy. Just get a load of food stuff, chuck it in the Mylar bag, chuck it in the bucket, throw in an oxygen absorber, seal the bag, put the lid on the bucket and you're away. But actually, you know, I've never done these before, but it actually takes some thought. For example, just simple little things like oxygen absorbers. If you're only going to use 3 or 2 out of a packet of say 10, 15, you know, what are you going to do with the oxygen absorbers after that? Because, you know, once they get exposed to air, they're going to start, you know, working. So I've been checking out videos on how to store them, and you know, some people say put them in jars, some people say you could put it in a Mylar bag, stuff like that. So that's just one example of things you've got to think about when you're putting these food caches together. Other things you've got to think about is it okay to put food in the Mylar bag in the bucket in its existing packaging? I've also watched some videos on that. It's okay, you can actually do that. You know, for example, other examples are if you're going to store sugar in Mylar bags, don't put oxygen absorbers into the bag with the sugar, otherwise the sugar will go rock hard. So that's just a couple of examples there of, you know, having to think about what you're doing when putting these geocaches together. Also, once you've got everything in the Mylar bag, how do you seal the bag? How do you get the oven? How do you get the iron to seal the bag? And you know, other videos show you bits of wood, put it on top of the bucket, lay the Mylar bag flat, and then iron it closed. Or if you've got one of those hair straighteners, you can use one of those. Or there's actually specific kind of heat tools that you can use to close the Mylar bags. So yeah. So it does take a lot of thought and a bit of planning. It's not as easy as what I first thought. I mean, people that have done them before may say they're easy because they've done them before, and maybe someone's taught them how to do it, but no one's taught me how to do it. So I thought I would have had this video up some time back, but then I started thinking about things, what to store, what not to store, how to have a nice selection of food and stuff like that. And what kind of food, so I'll be showing you that in a second. But yeah, it does take some thought, some planning. And I think I'm there, guys. I mean, it's also, you know, you got to trial and error, stuff like that, just practice and see what happens. You know, hopefully in a real life survival situation my stuff won't go off bad, but I think I've done enough research with what I've got to be okay. Some people say you can actually put these caches together and Mylar bags in buckets, and you could have food that can last for up to 25 years. I wish my ones will last up to 25 years. I might be going into them next year, you never know. But my thing is, maybe if I can have the caches last, the food last inside the caches for 5 to 10 years, I'll be well pleased with that, let alone 25 years. But anyway, onto the video. And I'll tell you a bit more as I'm sort of going through the stuff. So stick around. I'll see you in a sec, guys, and I'll show you what I've been doing in my geocache buckets. See you in a sec, guys. You can just start up your fire like that. Welcome back, guys and girls. So as you can see, I've figured out what I want to put in the buckets. I've also done a kind of a dry run where I've put all the stuff in the bucket just to make sure that it all fits in the bucket in the first place. And that's another thing you've got to think about. You know, sometimes we look at things and we think, right, I'll get all this stuff in there, and you try to put it in there, it's not going in there. So I've had to take out a couple of things from what I had originally, because they wouldn't quite fit in there, and I didn't want to get them too packed tightly in there, just in case it got damaged or anything like that. So what you see on the table is what I'm going to put into these buckets. So what I'm going to do quickly is just quickly show you what I've got in mind. I mean, you don't have to have what I've got here. You can go and get what you want, put what you like in the buckets, it's up to you. And this is just a selection of stuff that I thought would be good for me. So starting off on your right hand side, I've got some dry skim milk right there. I'm going to use a stick just to point everything out. So I've got some dried skim milk. In front of that I've got some clear honey, squeezy in a squeezy bottle. I've got some baked beans, a couple of tins of those. I've got a small tin of sweet corn, some Green Giant sweet corn and peppers, 2 big tins of that. I've got some peaches, some ambrosia rice pudding, and here I've got some pineapple chunks, so some vegetables, some fruit, and the back here I've got a bag of porridge oats, some couscous, a couple of bags of penny pasta, a nice bag of easy cooked rice. Just down here I have some vegetable cubes, 8 of those. Okay, again, I showed you this in another video, the powdered tomato. Okay, so that's tomato powder right there. It's about 500 grams right there. In the back over here, if you can see that, got a small bottle of olive oil. I'll just show you. The reason why I put a small bottle of olive oil is that olive oil, once opened from the bottle, it doesn't last for too long, and I didn't want to put a large bottle of olive oil in the bucket just in case it went rancid on me. So I've just put a small bottle in there, just like I showed you. At the back here, got some whole foods, got some organic red split lentils, some organic chickpeas, some butter beans, and on the front of this stuff here, I have some sardines in oil, mackerel in oil, tuna chunks in oil. So if I want to use any oil for cooking, I can use the oil from these tins here without the fear of it going off. I do have a small bottle like I just showed you. Got some mixed herbs over here, some basil, some garlic granules right here in the blue top bottle. Got some chili flakes. That's for prepared camping. He said to me, get some chili flakes. There you go, got some chili flakes. And in a nice food grade bottle, I put a load of salt in there as well. Okay, now when you get these new, once you close them, they're sealed. Okay, so that's like new, so I'll have to break this as I screw it off. I'll have to break it from the plastic. So that's salt in there. At the back here, got some hot chocolate, some tea bags already wrapped up in a bag, which is handy. And just below the salt, I have some cayenne pepper. I've got some ground cumin. So I've got plenty of herbs, spices, salt, pepper. Okay, right, moving on. What I've done, if you remember the other video, I had some dried white onion. What I've did is I put them in Mylar bags. Okay, I halved the bag that I had, which is 1 kilogram, and I've actually put it into one of these Mylar bags. Now what I've done is I haven't put an oxygen absorber in here, but what I did do was get as much air as possible out of this bag, but plus the onion inside, the dry onion, is actually also in bags, and I squeezed Ziploc bags, so there's 2 separate bags here. And so I basically squeezed as much air out of the bags as possible before I put them in this Mylar bag. Now this Mylar bag I cut to shape myself, which I'll come to in a little while and show you what I did. Also another little Mylar bag here with some sugar and coffee, and I've also put on there the packing date, which I've done also for the dried onion on the back of it. I've also put, or on the front rather, packed to 1st of April. April Fool's Day 2020. God willing, these will be fine. If not, I've still got the garlic granules, but I've got a good, I'm thinking that they will be alright. Anyway, another little idea I come up with, you got some Swan matches right here, so I'm going to chuck a box of matches in the bucket as well. I mean, you should have stuff on you for fire starting anyway, but just in case I lose my gear, I've got a box of matches in here, Swan matches, Strike Anywhere matches. Again, I cut to size a little piece of Mylar bag, and I made a nice little dinky size bag for that. Now let me just double check. Of course, I've got the 25 litre bucket in the background right there. And the Mylar bag in it as well. Right, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to move to the other side of the table and just quickly show you the Mylar bags. Now, obviously the oxygen absorbers are still sealed. I'm not going to touch them until I've packed the 2 buckets. I've got my measuring tape. I was thinking about putting some tin openers in the buckets, but I thought, well, I've only got like 2 tins, I think 3 tins there that need tin openers. The rest have got those easy pull on them as well. So I figured I'm not going to put these tin openers in there, because on my Leatherman tool, which should be with me, or my other Stanley tool, whichever one I've got, both got a tin opening tool on them. So like I was saying, basically what I've done is, you can see this large size Mylar bag that I'll be using for the 25 litre buckets. I basically cut them in half, as you can see here. I cut them in half and made a nice size bag, okay, half the size of this. And then what I did again is I cut these in half and made even smaller bags, okay, if you can see that there. Right, so this handy stuff, this Mylar bags. I didn't have the smaller sizes, I had these sizes already. I've got a few of those, and basically I wanted something a bit larger than this, and like I said, to make this bag right here. Okay, I've got a couple of these, one in one bucket, and this one's going to go in this other bucket I'm doing now. So yeah, a couple of little scraps like you see, but what I did is I used them as well. And basically, excuse my back for a second, I've cut this little bit in half, and I made a smaller size bag for the Swan matches. Okay, moving on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start filling up the second bucket. Just quickly show you something. As you're filling the bucket, what you want to try and do, because it's a square bag going into a round bucket, you want to start getting things like your beans and your rice down the bottom, and start trying to shape the bag into the bucket as you're putting the stuff in. So what I've done with the first one is I put a couple of bags of the beans and the rice down the bottom, and I started putting the spices to the edges, if you can see down there. Okay, just to try and create that round shape. And remember as well, these bags are plastic, you don't want to go too hard, you don't want to rip the bag. So what you want to try and do is just squeeze the bottles of spices down there. Hopefully you can see that. And also, if you can get things like the salt on the other side, just try and squeeze it around the edges, perhaps the oil, just to create that bag shape. And like I said, you don't want to break the bag. Maybe get a couple of tins of the sardines, squeeze them around the side, just so that you can get that shape going. Actually, let me put the oil on the other side where the salt is. Squeeze the sardine in there. Let's see if you can see that. Okay, if you can see the sardines down there, and then just build it up from there. So yeah, just after a little bit of fidgeting around, I just managed to just push everything nicely down below the level of the top of the bucket. So what you want to basically do is see if you can get it level, the top of the bag, and basically push it down just to make sure that it will fit below the bucket, the sides here, and that will be fine just there. So what I've seen people do, let me just turn this way, is they get a piece of wood, right, like that, and just make sure it's nice and level at the top here. Get the piece of wood on the bucket right there. You lay it flat here, and you go just press it down with the iron. Okay, so I just put the iron on to get really nice and hot, and that's about ready. So you lay the piece of wood across the top of the bucket, and you level off the Mylar bag, and then basically what you want to do is just start sealing it. Just a few seconds, because it's a really hot iron, and don't completely seal it. What you want to do is seal it and just leave yourself a little gap so that you're able to put the oxygen absorber in there. Now what I'm going to do actually is just seal it a bit more and just leave a few inches on that side so I can get the oxygen absorber in there. And just seal it up a little bit more. Now again, you know, once you've done it a couple times, you know, then you'll be able to say it's easy. But when you're doing something for the first time, it can be a bit awkward. Let me just make sure I go over the whole seal again one more time. Now some people that don't go as full as what I've just done with this bag, I pretty much come quite level just below the top of the bucket side wall here. So there we have it. I've left a couple of inches in there, just enough room for me to chuck in a oxygen absorber. Now I'm not going to open up the oxygen absorbers yet, because once I want to have both buckets ready. So basically you just repeat the process again and try and squeeze it out, level it out, push everything down as much as you can, a bit more. You get your piece of wood again, whack that on there, and then you'll be able to start sealing the second bag. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, but sometimes I try and make things look good at least. Now you can start sealing the top of the second bag now. Just a few seconds with the iron, come right along. And again with this one, I'm just going to leave a few inches so that I can throw the oxygen absorber bags in there. Okay, to about there. I'm pretty pleased with that. It doesn't have to be perfect, as long as it's sealed, that's the main thing. Now what I'm going to try and do actually, okay, that's about right there. So you can see it's got a very good seal along there. I've done the two bags, left a few inches hole here, and you can use an iron. I'm going to use an iron. And for the smaller bags, what I do is I bought myself one of these hair straighteners. Now these are fine for smaller bags, perfectly okay. I bought this particular set. This is called the Jet Tech. I bought this for about £8 online on eBay. Okay, travel hair straightener, does the job fine. What you want to do, before you put the air absorber in there, oxygen absorber, you basically want to flatten down this as much as you can, take as much air out, Okay, but remembering that the oxygen absorber will take out what's left in the bag. So you basically squeeze it out. Okay. Just going to go over to the other side and do the same thing here. Squeeze out as much air as possible. And leave just enough room for me to be able to stick the oxygen absorber in there. I've got these oxygen absorbers with the bags, the Mylar bags. I've got 10 Mylar bags and I've got 10 of these oxygen absorbers. Now, what I want to do, let me just reach over to the, excuse my back guys, just want to have everything ready, the iron's ready, the scissors here is ready. Let me just move everything along on the table. The bags are ready. As soon as I open up this bag of oxygen absorbers, I'm going to quickly grab one, throw one in here, in this bucket and in that bucket over there. Now, someone was telling me that you can actually reseal these bags. So, let me just get everything ready. And that's another thing you've got to think about. You know, before you actually start, you know, putting everything away and putting the lids on the buckets, and you've got to make sure you've got things in place. Okay, so here we go. Oxygen absorber number 1 in this bag. Oxygen absorber number 2 in this other bucket over here. Excuse my back. Let me just try and lay it flat in there, or as flat as can be. Now that's in there. The iron's hot. Squeeze out any remaining air as much as you can. Squeeze the bag down. Get your piece of wood again. Now the oxygen absorber's in their bag. I'm just going to try and make sure that not too much air gets in there, and cover them quickly. And actually what I'm going to quickly do, I'm going to get the bag, the Mylar bag ready, put the oxygen absorber straight in there, squeeze out all the air as much as you can, take the iron, start sealing the bag. You can actually go down the side here if you want. Push the bag inside, and let me just see if I can just quickly iron down here as well. Why not? Less room for the... Okay, you like my ironing action there. Right, now you squeeze out as much air as possible from here. Now that should be okay. And then you seal it. I'm pretty pleased with that. And Bob's your uncle. Okay, and there you can reuse these oxygen absorbers again. Right, moving on. Like I was saying, I've put an oxygen absorber in each of these buckets. So I'm going to need my piece of wood again. Placed it on the top of the bucket. Being careful not to rip the Mylar bag. Again, push out as much air as possible. I'm pretty pleased with that now. And if there is any air in there, the oxygen absorbers will do their work. And take out the remaining. Only need a few seconds to seal it. Now there we have one bucket sealed. Let me just go over the top again just to make sure. A few more seconds on each one, on each side. Now I'm pretty pleased with this for my first attempt. It's not bad. Now if you take your time, don't rush, do your research. Make sure you check out what fits in the bucket as well. Obviously you can't get everything in there. Now I'm pretty pleased with that. So you've got your bucket with all your stuff in it, the Mylar bag, and what you want to do is try and get this as flat as possible. Now I saw somewhere on YouTube the guy left it like that for the evening, and he came back the next morning and then he put the bucket on top. The lid for the bucket on top. Now just for the purpose of the video, just want to show you that it can actually close. I'm not going to seal it shut because they're really hard to open up again. Let me just do the other one as well quickly. Now, let me just double check something. Yeah, I was just double checking to make sure I did actually put an oxygen absorber in this one, and try and lay it flat in there and push out as much of the air as possible from the bag, and then seal away. Get your piece of wood again, being careful not to rip the bag. Now it's actually a straightforward sort of process. Let me just get the iron and seal it shut. Yep, that's worked out rather nicely, as George Formby used to say. And let me just go over the top again, just to make sure. Just a few seconds on the top. There we go. Fantastic invention, these Mylar bags. I'll probably invest in one of those machines where it sucks out the air. I forget what they're called at the moment. And for smaller projects. So there we have it, guys and girls. One sealed bag, two of them done. And again, the same thing. I'm just going to lay this down like so. Now there is a bit of air in there, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave these overnight and come back in the morning. Okay, so I left them overnight. I've actually put some weights on the top of this one, just to sort of push everything down slightly. I've already sealed that one over there. Just wanted to show you me sealing this one. Now the oxygen absorbers have been doing their job. They're still going to be doing their job when I seal it, but they've shrunk down slightly. The air's been sucked out a bit, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the lid on as well. So I've written on it bucket number 1, Food Geo-Cache. Okay, now you can write all the stuff down as well and put a piece of paper in there if you wanted to with the list of everything that's in here. Now I know what's in here anyway, so I'm not going to bother with a list. I've just written on the top here, and if someone does find it, if I can't get to it, they know that there's food in there as well. And if they want to see what's in there, just open it up and they can see, and they've had a result. But anyway, so yeah, I'm basically ready now to seal this one. So I've sealed that one already. So let me go ahead and just make sure it's all tight. I'm really pleased actually with the first effort. Never done these before, and basically these are ready to go now. Okay, so now I'm satisfied that it's all properly closed. That'd be quite hard to take off now that I've sealed it shut. It's got a nice carry handle as well. If you want to, if you can see down there, I've got a trash bag, and basically if you wanted to put them in a trash bag as well, maybe a couple of trash bags, you can. If you're thinking of burying these, it might be handy to get yourself some, quite thick trash bags, heavy duty ones, or builder's bags if you can find them big enough. Put a couple of those over it, seal it shut, tie it all nice and shut, and you can bury these. I mean, you can put these in your bug out location as well. If you have a bug out location, and if it's just a question of you jumping in your car, taking your bug out bag and some other bits of supplies, at least in your location where you're going to go to that you've got some food there as well. And I mean, pretty much you can store loads of different things in these containers, from clothing to water purification, even water, other tools as well, bug out bag tools, and it's up to you what you want to store in these. And I'm pretty pleased for my first attempt, like I was saying. So if you've got any comments, please leave them below. If you've got any ideas of what you would do with your buckets, how what food you put in your buckets, please leave a comment. If you've got any suggestions, things I've done wrong, things I can improve on, just tell me, let me know. And as you can see, I've numbered them 1, 2. I've got another 3 buckets that I'm going to be doing in the future. So keep your eyes open, watching this space. And I might, have some caches with sort of a survival cache with a mixture of food and other sort of, stuff in there as well. Not just food buckets, maybe one which has just got like, a little bit of everything in it, stuff like that. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching the video. We're going through some tough times at the moment. These people at the top, they're really playing with our heads. As it says on the American dollar, order out of chaos. There's certainly a lot of chaos out there. A lot of people don't know what's going on, a lot of confusion. But some of us do know something what's going on. We know that the elite are playing games, that's for sure. So just stay calm, take each day as it comes, be prepped up, go through your preps, clean your house, organise your gear, your stores, what have you, organise your bug out bags, check the dates of your food and just rotate them if you have to. But yeah, guys, this has been a video on the geocache containers that I put together for the first time. So I appreciate you all, much love to you all, and take care of yourselves. Thumbs up from me, guys and girls. See you all in the next video. God bless. So as you can see, I left these overnight and I put some extra weights on the top as well. Hey guys and girls, thumbs up from me as usual. Welcome to my channel, Drew Loves Survival. Ooh.